This has got to be one of the most hated Call of Duty games that I can remember in a very, very long time. But why is that exactly? Why is Black Ops 6 receiving so much hate? Well, that's what I want to go over in today's video. So just so you know, I'm going to be referencing this dude. I don't know whether to call him Blame Truth or the Codfather, so I'm just going to call him the Codfather, as he has a great compilation of every single large negative opinion on Call of Duty right now. So if by any chance he ends up watching this, I want to give him massive thanks because you made my research infinitely easier on the negative takes instead of having to spend my day trawling through toxicity on Reddit. So without further ado, make sure to like and subscribe and let's jump right in. The first and arguably the biggest complaint I've seen throughout the internet is actually two things: spawns and skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM. Now let's talk about the first one to start off. The spawns in Black Ops 6 beta were by all accounts diabolical. I never had anything insane, but I did have some spawns that put me close enough to an enemy that I died in like the first 5 seconds. I think this should definitely be one of the first things that Activision fixes, as it definitely impacts the experience noticeably on quite a few of the maps. But now, let's get into the next complaint: skill-based matchmaking. This has been one of the most hotly contested features in gaming's history, so this is going to be interesting to talk about. First off, what is skill-based matchmaking? Skill-based matchmaking at its most core element is a system designed to make sure that you don't completely get destroyed in your lobby or completely destroy everyone else. Now, while I think we can all agree that it is arguably the best feeling ever to completely curb stomp a lobby, it is never really good when you get obliterated, and chances are most people will just get off after that happens. So most games implement some sort of skill-based matchmaking to ensure in some capacity that this doesn't happen. However, the level this skill-based matchmaking is on is what a lot of players have problems with. Call of Duty, however, uses something called EOMM, or Engagement Optimized Matchmaking. This system has the total goal of keeping you engaged with the game for the longest possible amount of time, and in my opinion wouldn't be that big of a problem if not for one specific problem: rigged matches. If you are on a winning streak, the matchmaking will throw you a match where there is 1 or 2 players on the enemy team who are ranked considerably higher than you in skill. This makes matches where it feels like you are destined to lose. However, in my opinion, the matchmaking in Black Ops 6 feels much less predatory than previous entrances in the series. Legitimately, that's all I have to say about it. People are saying it feels super cranked up, but in my opinion, it truly feels good and normal to play with. I rarely ever felt like I was matched with people way above or below my skill level, and all the matches felt engaging. I know some people have probably had some experiences that made it feel bad, but I had a good experiences with the matchmaking this beta, and that's all I have to say. The next problem is that SMGs are absolutely broken. And honestly, I gotta agree with this one. The SMGs in this game are super good and need a nerf as soon as possible. But that's what betas are for. Our next problem is server connections and packet burst. And while there was a considerable amount of it, I didn't feel like it was that much of a problem, and probably would have never noticed if something had popped up in the screen. Like past a little bit of like, jiggly, I don't know how to describe it, jiggly feeling. I really didn't notice it that much. However, I know some people had worse problems than me with this, and all I can really say is that I hope they iron out the wrinkles soon. Speaking of wrinkles, something that people have been massively overhyping recently. You know them, you hate them, hackers. That's right, there were hackers present in the Black Ops 6 beta. To which I say, why is this a surprise exactly? It wasn't really a widespread problem, there were only a couple hackers, and I'm gonna be real, you kind of have to expect to occasionally see hackers. So I don't know what the problem is, and why is it shocking that a massively hyped release had a couple hackers. And now, we devolve. From this point on, I've got to give a warning, as the level of stupidity you are about to witness is beyond human comprehension. I would recommend skipping the final half of the video, as the level of stupid some of these takes may cause brain damage just trying to comprehend them. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the deepest pits of hell. Reddit forums. You guys have been complaining about getting the same old, same tired 3-lane map design for years. So guess what? You finally got your wish. The 3-lane maps are mostly gone. We went from this to this. Alright, let's celebrate. Wait, what? You hate it? Bro, you have been asking for this for so long. What in the actual Yeah, so basically what's been happening is that people are complaining about the design of maps and how they don't feel right and you get shot from so many places. Well, guess what? When you don't have specific lanes, that's what happens. You get shot from multiple sides. You can't just press your W key and run up and down each lane like a hyper-aggressive lawnmower, killing everything that moves. You have to think, and use that smooth brain of yours before you rush out into an open space. Can we talk about Scud? Why does everybody hate on Scud so much? Oh, the satellite dish, they can shoot me. Hey, guess what? You see those trenches over there that lead into the building? How about you use your on me movement to dive into them? Or most of the time you can just walk into them, run through them into the building, and take out the shooter. Unless you're secretly too bad to fight the 2 or 3 enemies sitting in the building as well. Speaking of bad and Omni movement is so sweaty, help me, oh my goodness! Okay, let's be real here. Most players you run into aren't actually using Omni movement except to slide around corners or dive like absolute idiots. But everybody is using the 0.2% of the player base who have somehow become movement fiends as a justification for why this game sucks, when in reality, most of the time you aren't going to run to anything remotely like this. It takes so much mastery to use that. And after playing a little bit of Modern Warfare 3, I can say that this new movement is infinitely better than whatever fever dream crackhead slide canceling I saw in Modern Warfare 3. So I'm gonna be real with you here. Stop yapping. A legitimate problem that people are having while playing this game is low-key funny in a sad way. The view screen is so bad that people are getting motion sickness while trying to play. All jokes aside, they really need to make an option to disable or lessen the level of shaking that happens on your screen while you try and play the game, because clearly it's an actual problem people are having. So these are the legitimate, well, maybe sometimes not legitimate, but at least somewhat based in facts, opinions. And something I've seen people talking about is, oh, this isn't a beta, this is a demo. So let's react to a clip of someone who doesn't understand how game development works.
Anyone says, oh, BT, it's just a beta. Guys, this is a demo. They had 4 years to work on this game. Like, it's done. This is not a beta. It's...
Okay, so let's talk about this. Activision has had 4 years to work on this game. That is true. They've spent the 4 years working on the game. The thing is, when you're the game developer, okay? When you're the game developer, you might notice some things, okay? Alright? There's a few problems with being the game developer and playtesting your game. And those problems are that as a game developer, you know the vision for your game and you know what your game is. You know what you want your game to be. And so you're going to play the game and playtest only how you would play the game, if that makes any sense. Let me phrase it a different way. You are going to play test a game the same way you would play it. So you're only fixing problems for your specific play style. So big problems that everybody is having, most likely when you're only playtesting with 20 or 40 people, you're not having these problems because there's not enough people. Like super rare problems. Let's say 1 time out of 10,000, okay? 1 time out of 10,000. Somebody has terrible lag. You're playtesting it maybe 100 times. So maybe you notice terrible lag pop up once. You notice it pop up once in your entire playtesting experience. And that's if you playtested it 100 times. You noticed it popped up once. Okay? Maybe that was just a glitch. Maybe your internet was terrible. There's not a consistent trend there. So that's why open betas exist, is to iron out these problems that large amounts of people are having, because not large amounts of people are playtesting. It's a tiny amount of people. This is the stupidest take I have seen in a really long time. And everything else in this video is pretty valid. I mean, I don't agree with most of it, but this is ridiculous.
Done. It's been done. It leaked out like 6 months ago. They're basically done with the game.
Yeah, basically done. That means they've done most of the work. You know what's not 99% of the game? Bugs. Bugs are 0.01%. when you're mostly done with a game, when you're mostly done, that doesn't mean you're done. You're still working on bugs. And I'm not, okay, guys, I want to talk about this real quick. I'm not an Activision glazer, okay? I have hated every single entry in Call of Duty since Cold War. I didn't particularly love Modern Warfare. Black Ops 4, I didn't particularly love. Black Ops 3 was when I stopped playing, and I didn't like the multiplayer either. Okay? So, when I'm calling this out, this is dumb, okay?
I mean, never mind the fact that this is a 20-year-old series. We should not have to give them beta feedback. They should know exactly what to do.
What? Okay, what do you mean they should know exactly what to do, okay? As a game developer, guess what? You don't copy-paste the lines of code from each individual game for the past 20 years, okay? You don't do that. And you're an idiot if you think that game developers do that. You don't copy-paste code. You have to rewrite it, and bugs show up. Do you know what a bug is? Do you know what a glitch is? It's from errors in code, which you are still writing. Doing something for 20 years doesn't mean that there's not going to be bugs. Game developers who have been doing this for their whole lives still make code with bugs. Because you're writing thousands, tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of lines of code for each individual game that are unique and work different from each other. So, what? Okay, so now let's quickly address the rigging allegations. People have been making claims that Activision is quote-unquote rigging their games by making bullets do less damage and giving enemies more health. And to be honest, this does seem like a scummy thing a modern game AAA company would do. So let's look at the evidence real quick. Alright, so apparently these people thought their shots hit and should have done much more damage than they did. I gotta say, as of right now, this sounds kinda wild. Who knows, maybe in a year or two actual evidence will come out and I'll make a video saying, oh, you proved me wrong, let's go. But for right now, this has gotta be peak molding. I'm bad at Call of Duty, but at least I'm honest. This is a new level of excuses for just being trash at the game on a level I've never seen before in my life. For the past years, it's been, oh, I lagged, bro, or oh my goodness, my FPS. But now we finally got a new one. Oh, bro, my bullets didn't do damage. The game is rigged, I swear. Crazy work. Now, let's do the final thing. It doesn't feel the same. And you know what? You're right. This game doesn't feel the same. These games haven't felt the same for the past 4 or 5 years. And having that opinion is valid. Enjoying the other Call of Duties more is valid. And I don't respect anyone who thinks that any less. But at the end of the day, 20 years is a long time. Games change. People change. Developers change. This argument is like seeing the original NES Super Mario Bros. And being like, man, they should have gone back to that instead of the Wii version. It was so much more simple and more fun. Enjoying those games is fine, but you have to face facts at some point. Those are old games now, and it won't come back. Because it is a little unreasonable to expect games to not change. I miss the old Call of Duties as well. I grew up on Black Ops 2, but my family never had online gaming, and I constantly wish I could have been around for those days of online chat and community. But I can't. So at the end of the day, you have to accept that games change, and that's okay. In conclusion, there is a lot of hate around Black Ops, but why exactly is that? Why do so many people hate this game when, in my opinion, it's better than Modern Warfare 3, potentially even Modern Warfare 2 and Cold War, and it's definitely better than Vanguard? Well, here's my theory. It's a little something called mob psychology or crowd mentality. According to Freudian theory, when you have one person that is a super loud and charismatic speaker in a crowd, that person becomes the mind of everyone in it. And in this case, I think that's exactly what happened. You see, leading up to the Black Ops 6 beta, I stayed away from videos about it. While playing the beta, I stayed away from videos about it. And my hope throughout it was that maybe this would be a good Call of Duty game. And so I experienced and focused on the fun parts of the game, not only the bad parts. Sure, I had some trouble with lag occasionally. Sure, the textures didn't load for a couple games, but I still had a fun time. Whereas people who joined with the expectation that this game was going to be terrible garbage got exactly what they wanted as well, and only focused on their bad experiences. I'm sure I could do the same thing too. Here, let's try it. This game is an unfinished disaster. From start to finish, it was plagued by problems. From terrible spawns, to unloading textures, to constant packet bursts. This is one of the worst games in the past few years, and I was scammed out of my $70. All of those things did happen to me. But the reason I'm here adamantly defending this game is because I went into it with an open mindset, and I implore you to do the same. So when or if you launch it this October when it drops, please try and have an open mind, because maybe you'll end up loving it like I did.